Hi everyone, this is Marjorie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I've got this beautiful white and gold Nutcracker wreath, Nutcracker sign from Craft Outlet. He is actually going to be the star of the show in this beautiful Nutcracker wreath that we're making today. So my apologies, I'm just trying to get off the sticker. I should have done that prior to filming. I normally don't have this much problems getting the sticker off, but that one label was a bear. I got this sign from Craft Outlet, and here I'm just cutting off the jute cord. We don't need that. And then I'm actually just going to get a couple pipe cleaners and staple them to my sign. This is a lot easier, more cost effective. If you want to, you can always use the cable mounts and glue that down and then put your pipe cleaner or floral wire in there and then attach it to the wreath. But since these signs are pretty thick, the staples do not go through the sign. And so that's why I can go ahead and use the staple gun on this. So it's a lot easier. And then here I do, just after I staple it in, just give it a good few twists. If you want to, you can definitely add a dab of hot glue if you want to go ahead and get that to stay. I don't find that I need to. I think that does it just enough. So then we have those beautiful ribbons, and I got the Nutcracker and the Harley Quinn ribbon, the 2.5-inch wreath from the ribbon from Craft Outlet, and the other one was from Hobby Lobby. So here's my 14-inch wreath frame from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just showing you the 2 crossbars and the 4 rings that are in it, and in between the crossbars that's considered a section. So in the inner 2 rings I'm going to put 1 pipe cleaner, and once I twist it a few good times, then I'm going to go ahead and point that upwards. And then on the bottom 2 rings, I'm actually going to add 2 pipe cleaners. And when I get those twisted on, I'm going to put those downwards. And that's just to help me be able to find my pipe cleaners as I'm adding the mesh on. I personally like starting from, well, it just depends. Well, I always start from the bottom and then work my way inward. So off camera, I had cut these mesh into 30-inch pieces, and I'm making a cruffle. So I'm showing you how big my curl is. I like to leave mine pretty big, and here I'm showing you a smaller curl. And you could do either one if you want, but I prefer the larger ones. It just, I don't know, it just gives it more body in my opinion. So after I roll it 3 times on one side, I turn it around and roll it 3 times on the other side. Then I walk my fingers up the middle and to make the ruffle portion. And as I said, I like to start from the bottom. So when I'm actually just putting the cruffles in here just like this, I actually like to work one section at a time. And what I do is I'll make a couple more to show you again. But I like to add my first cruffles to the bottom 2 pipe cleaners in a section, and then the third one I'll add to the top of each section. So really I like to work section by section with the cruffle method, but it's a little bit different when I like to do the poofs and the poof method, because then I'm starting around the bottom and then I end up working my way through the top. Excuse me. So what I do is I put it in there and I twist it 2-3 good times to make sure it is, that it is actually tight enough. And then what I also do is, and I can't remember if I don't think I cut them on camera, but I take the remaining portion of the deco mesh and I cut 18 cuts of 10-inch by 10-inch deco mesh. So if you go back earlier in the video where I said we have 3 pipe cleaners basically in a section, there's 6 sections. So that means you'll need 18 pipe cleaners. So that's why I went ahead and cut 18 pieces of the 10 by 10 inch. That way I can make a curl like I'm fixing to do here. And since it's at the end of the roll, it already has just a natural curl to it. And I just make sure it's all lined up and looks nice, and then I pinch it in the middle, and then I'll go back and put one of each into each pipe cleaner, just setting it seam side down right on top of the other mesh, not even opening up the twist ties, but going ahead and just attaching it right on top. Now I know it may not seem like it adds much to the wreath, but in person it actually does. Like, I could tell a big difference of it being a little bit fuller with the additional deco mesh. Plus, I don't really like to throw the remnants away. I just think it's a waste, and if I can be useful with it, then that's what I'll do. I do not like to save much mesh. I hardly ever do, but I do sometimes, with, like, especially with the 21 inch, but I don't like to save a whole lot of the 10 inch mesh. That way I don't have to have all that stuff just lingering around the house, cluttering it up. I have enough craft supplies that does that enough for me. So I don't know if you can maybe kind of look at the left side where I'm actually putting in the mesh versus the right side. You could tell slightly, but again, like I said, it's a little bit harder to see on video versus in person. So what I've actually done is I put on the majority of the ribbon tails, which I cut at 14 inches, and I'm putting them in a cross, and I'm just gathering them in the middle so I can put it right on top of that pipe cleaner. I crisscross it because it makes it a little bit easier to spread out the ribbon so you can see them. And I really love how these two ribbons complement each other and make the wreath look extra special. Now I do cut 16 tails, 12 around the bottom, and then 4 at the top. So here I'm putting on the last 2 sets of tails, and you'll see, like, to the left there's a big hole, and to the center top there's another big hole where there's no mesh. And we're actually gonna fill those 2 places with 1 bow each. So I'm gonna make 2 bows for this one wreath, and so that'll make it look extra nice. I love bows. I love ribbon. So I'm actually just taking and placing the pipe cleaners in between the mesh, trying to find a good spot on the wire wreath frame, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my sign on there. But I'm not putting it on too tight. I just want to put it on tight enough to where it sits nicely on top. I don't want it sinking into the deco mesh and kind of be hidden in the mesh and ribbon. So the more you make wreaths, the more you'll get the hang of it. So now then I'll just set that aside, and we'll go ahead and get the bows. We'll get started on the bows. So what I did with the 2.5 inch ribbons, I actually took and spooled everything off of the ribbon spool, and then I cut it in half. So since I'm making 2 bows, I just cut it into 2 long pieces, 1 for each bow. And then I actually have this 1.5 inch Harley Quinn right there that I did the same with, and that actually I used on something else, but it wasn't quite as long as the other 2.5 inch, but we make it work, and you'll see that. And I can't remember if there's one more ribbon or if it's just that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll remember together. So I take and I make an 8-inch tail, and then I do 6-inch loops on both sides. I think I tell you, I forgot already. I made this wreath this weekend and I can't remember. Okay, so I do put 4 loops on this, 2 loops on each side at 6 inches, and then my tail's at basically 8 inches. And I actually do that with the 2.5 inch ribbon. So again, I'm just doing 4 loops on here, and we're gonna make it pretty full. I think I went down just a smidge on these loops. But yeah, I was just going down a little. I think it was just not very much, actually. I think looking at this video now, it didn't look like there was much of a difference, but when I was making it, I thought I was doing like a 1/2 inch shorter. But so like I said, this was a little bit shorter, so I think I maybe do 3 loops. I don't think it was enough for 4 loops. So yeah, I just do 3 loops on here. And then I end up going back and dovetailing the 2.5 inch ribbon, and then I'll cut that one at an angle. So yes, okay, we do have another 1.5 inch ribbon, and I forgot at the beginning, I did show it. So this ribbon was actually purchased from Hobby Lobby, while the other 3 were from Craft Outlet. And then I think on this one, I do basically 5 loops. I do 4 of the regular, probably 5.5 inch loops. And then I'll do a center loop. And then just, you know, the rough 8-inch tails on that. So then I'm just going to carefully pull it out and make sure hopefully make sure I do not let go of any of that ribbon, because it can be a little pain in the behindy if you let go of the ribbon and some of that ribbon comes out, because then you'll have to make the bow again. But I pinch down on the ribbons to get it as close to each other as possible, and then I twist on, I put on the pipe cleaner, and then I actually twist the bow while I'm pinching my other hand with the pipe cleaners tight up against the bow. That way everything's held nice and tight together. Like I said earlier, here I'm just dovetailing and cutting my 1.5 inches at an angle, but you can always dovetail those as well if you want to. Or, you know, I've seen some wreath makers that don't even make that don't even cut their tails sometimes. So, but absolutely up to you. When you make a wreath, you can absolutely make it any way that you want to. So once I've kind of done that, then here at the right bottom, I'm going to attach my ribbon. I will go back and trim off some of the tails, because I don't want any of the tails being too long to where it covers up the sign, especially this sign. It's so gorgeous. Yeah, I really tried to find like white and gold ribbon. I really wanted a white and gold Nutcracker ribbon for this one, and I didn't, so I couldn't find one at Craft Outlet, and Craft Outlet is my store. I know they have good products and they have good sales all the time, so that's where I try to buy most of my stuff. But you know, the next best Nutcracker ribbon was the one I got, so I thought, you know, I do think it pairs up pretty well. I like how everything comes in. I think if I were to ever make this wreath again, I would actually change the deco mesh from gold to probably like a white or a black mesh. I think that would be really pretty as well. But I do love the gold because the gold just brings out the gold in the sign, as well as that gold in the Harley Quinn ribbon. I love it. So I'm just fluffing out all my loops and making sure I've got each one pulled out well, and then I'll trim off some of the tails here in just a little bit. See, all this is how this gorgeous wreath turned out. I absolutely love how it turned out. Y'all let me know what you think. I just want to say thank you again for stopping by and spending some time with me, and I hope that you guys have a very blessed week.